Retirement planning today can go one of two ways. It can be daunting and overwhelming, or it can be exciting and give you a newfound sense of adventure. Hi, my name is Eric Kearney, President and Senior Investment Advisor of Retirement Wealth. With planning for a long-term retirement today, with everyone's unique goals and objectives, you need a long-term written strategy that's going to be built custom for you. So with today's world, you've got market volatility, interest rate changes, inflationary issues, and world events going on all the time. So you want to make sure that you find someone that you can trust, who has a fiduciary responsibility, is an independent advisor that's always looking out for you. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's begin Retirement Talk with Eric Kearney.
Watching Retirement Talk with Eric Kearney, Southwest Florida's retirement television. He's an author, a radio host, a fiduciary, and Southwest Florida's premier investment advisor. Here's Senior Investment Advisor Eric Kearney.
Here we are again with Retirement Talk with Eric Kearney. Good to be back with you, Eric.
You too, Wendy.
You know, Eric, breakups are never easy. People tend to say things like, oh, it's not you, it's me, and that's kind of uncomfortable. Sometimes when you're dealing with a retirement specialist who's helping you do your planning, your needs change.
Right.
And we have a couple of tips to help you out today to find out when it's right to break up.
Yeah, so this is a great point. There's a lot of times where people's portfolios have graduated from their advisor's capabilities hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars ago. And the thing is that as you start to accumulate more money, your strategy has to get more sophisticated. You want to make sure that you're reducing fees, consider tax planning. There's so many different things that you really have to plan for. And so by the time a lot of people come to us, they're like, Eric, I've had it. I'm not getting any service. I have no process with my current advisor, and I really need to make a change. There's a lot of times, Wendy, where people call us after the TV show, after our radio show, or come to our class, and they say, Eric, I've moved down here. We went golfing 100 times. We've been to the beach. We've remodeled the house. And now all of a sudden we realize we've got to take our retirement very seriously. Those are our actual clients that come down and they say, we've had our retirement on the back burner. We know that our needs have changed. We need something that's more demanding, more creative of a financial plan. And that's really where they're coming to see us.
Yeah, because when we retired, now people are living a lot longer than they did when they retired 20, 30 years ago. So
Right.
You've got to make appropriate plans for that.
Yeah, so you take a single female that makes it to age 65, she has a very good chance of living between 86 and 88 years old, Wendy. The oldest couple that we have right now are 91 and 93 years old. Wow. We still see them on a regular basis, and guess what, Wendy? They still have monetary needs. Mm-hmm. They're still getting their oil changed in their car. They still want to go out to dinner. Her big thing is right now she wants a bigger TV. I'll get her a bigger TV, right? At that age, I'll get you whatever you want. But the thing is that they still have planning needs. And so we, again, have to build in that financial plan for longevity because we are living a lot longer today.
We are. And you know, as most people do, the market is really volatile right now, and
Right.
that can be really tough at this stage of your life.
Right. So people are always asking, what about market volatility? You've got this very tumultuous market that's dropping 800 points, 1,000 points every so often. Really, Wendy, that's all noise to us. What we're focusing on is we have clients that are focusing on the financial plan, the income plan, and also our M5 formula. We have a process that we put them through. And what happens in the financial plan is, a lot of people don't realize this, our financial plans are running 1,000 different scenarios. So we're taking advantage of the 3 guarantees that the market actually gives us. You're guaranteed the market will go up, you're guaranteed the market will move sideways, and you're guaranteed that the market's going to go down. And that's okay because we've actually already planned for that. So again, actually it's more scary for a good investment advisor when the markets are going way up, and we feel more in control when the markets are going down because we've already planned for that. We've planned for rainy days in the stock market, and our clients are going to be just okay.
What do you do? Interest rates are always unpredictable. They're down one day, they might go up the next day. How do you make a plan for people with that in mind?
Yeah, that's a great thing to bring up. I'll tell you, 2 years ago, we had a lot of videos that we sent out to our clients. Wendy, there were two trains coming together head on, and that was interest rate risk. And so a lot of people want to go uber conservative as they get older, and I completely understand that. They don't want to put their money at risk. But no matter what you invest in, there's all different kinds of risks. And with the bond market or the fixed income market, you actually have a lot of interest rate risk. So when they start to raise interest rates, that's actually going to push bond yields down. And so it's actually going to wreak havoc in the more conservative portfolios, and you really have to have an equity-driven strategy to offset those lower losses. So again, for the past 2 years, we've been coming up with fixed income alternatives and really showing our clients that and getting us through that interest rate risk environment.
It's good information. You know, healthcare is a big issue when you retire, and we all know that those costs are soaring. So it's tough to understand how you're able to predict and decide how much people need for healthcare. How do you all do that?
So that's interesting too, because Fidelity put out a huge report, and they said that it's going to cost the average couple over $250,000 in retirement alone just on healthcare, Wendy. And we're not even including long-term care expenses. So what happens is there's a lot of people that say, Eric, I can't wait to get to 65 because then I'm on Medicare, right? But Medicare doesn't answer all of our needs. It doesn't cover our teeth. It doesn't cover foot. There's a lot of things that it just doesn't cover. And so we have extra healthcare expenses on top of that, and we have to include that into the financial plan. If you're a single female out there, instead of $250,000, it's actually going to cost the average single female $150,000 in healthcare expenses. And so that's something that a lot of people are not prepared for. And Donna, my financial planner, actually enrolls that into the financial plan and shows them how that's going to be critical, but also how we can cover those needs as well.
That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, Wendy, but we can be prepared as long as we know ahead of time. I think the most critical thing about financial planning is really covering all the what ifs, all the financial hurdles, and we have to be able to connect all the dots that a lot of people don't understand how to connect those. Through the financial planning process and our M5 formula, we're able to do that. We're able to bring them a process, create a process, build a process, and actually present the process. And then going forward, just giving them that process that they want, servicing them, and making sure that all their goals, objectives, and health cares are met all throughout their retirement.
You're helping them with everything, Eric.
We try to.
What about making an income plan for people? Obviously, it's going to be different for everybody that steps through the door. How do you walk people through that?
Yeah, so really there's no cookie cutter method to creating an income plan because, again, everyone's goals, objectives, and income needs are different. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of times, Wendy, where people actually rely on one source of income, and we really can't do that. We really have to give you binary options and creating different options for you that we can turn off and turn on income all throughout retirement. The markets are going to be tumultuous. You're going to have interest rate risk. You're going to have inflationary risk. You've got to be aware of all those different risks that come out of nowhere. And again, we have to make sure that you're going to get all your income. So it doesn't matter if you feel like you've got a lot of money, you don't have a lot of money, you're married, single, whatever the case may be, everyone needs an income plan. And again, that also holds us accountable to our clients because now we understand where they have to be all the way up to 100 years of age.
You talked about all this risk that's out there with, investing people's money. How do you protect people? People tend to think, oh, I've got a nest egg. I've got a really good nest egg.
Right.
How do you do all of the planning and the investing and still protect their nest egg?
Yeah, so that's a great question. You've got market risk, you've got business rate risk, you've got inflationary risk, interest rate risk. There's all different kinds of risks out there. No matter what you're invested in, even if it's in a CD, you have risk. So what we have to do is, again, take a look at their income needs, take a look at their risk tolerance, making sure that we're aligning all their goals, objectives, and income needs going forward, and making sure that we're creating that process. We're deleting any market risk, and as people get older, they don't want to be in the stock market as much. So every year that they get a little bit older, what we're doing is reducing that stock market exposure while still making sure that they're getting that income and also outpacing inflation as well. So there's a lot of moving parts that go into this. And again, when we go from accumulation to decumulation, you've got to make sure that you're working with an advisor that actually specializes in retirement needs.
Eric, when you're planning for people's retirement, how do you factor in longevity?
So what we do is one of the first questions that we do in the mutual discovery meeting is we talk to them about longevity. And I'll say to them, Wendy, tell me a little bit about your father. What did his lifestyle look like? Also, what about your mom? And what we're trying to do is seeing how long they're actually living. And honestly, it's amazing, Wendy, how many of our parents have lived into their late 80s and early 90s. So that factors into maybe they didn't have as healthy of a lifestyle as we're living now. You have to remember one thing. We're living a completely different retirement and lifestyle than our parents did. My parents, I love them to death, but they were much more sedentary than I am. And so what's happening is that I'm out there walking a lot more, making sure that I'm paying attention to my lifestyle, and I think that ends up having me live a little bit longer. So again, we've got to take care of longevity and understanding that we could possibly live longer, and we've got to plan for that.
Eric, this all factors in so many things with people's lifestyles, and that M5 formula that you talk about, I can understand how that helps with the planning process.
For sure.
For all of you who are watching the show today, feel free to give us a call at 1-800-779-1942. Eric and his team would love to sit down with you and discuss your retirement needs. Hey Eric, I have a question.
Sure.
What's the difference between process and service?
Oh, there's a big difference between process and service. So service is actually where you want to like someone, you want to trust someone, and you actually like that person. So what happens is that those are the very basics that you need from a person that you actually work with. So with your hairdresser or your barber or your CPA or maybe even your banker, you want to be able to trust them, like them, and know them a little bit. That's just the service side. They should be calling you back. But what a lot of people actually lack in their retirement is a process. And that's the one thing that we actually give to people is an actual process that they're actually going through. We're looking at all the stages of their retirement, and as we put them through that process, they understand what's going to happen with that. It's called the M5 formula, and what we do is we do 5 things. We take a look at mutual discovery. It's a basic meet and greet. We go through methods to attain your goals. We take a blueprint and we mastermind your plan. We then monitor your situation, and lastly, we mentor your legacy. So people are going through the process from beginning to end, but then the word formula, there's even more. We're actually focusing on family, occupation, recreation, and lastly is money. And you always think, Wendy, that you want to focus on money and investments first. But when you actually go through the process and you answer more questions, what it does is it actually funnels down to the answers of what your investments actually have to look like. And there's a lot of people, after we take them through the M5 formula, as we're walking them to the door and as they're leaving, they often turn to me and say, Eric, I've never had anything like this before. And this is happening to people who are in their 50s, 60s, and even 70s. So there's a lot of people out there who have investments. They don't really have a definition of what they're actually supposed to be doing, and they end up having more questions than answers about their entire financial plan. So if you have any questions about your plan and you don't have a plan, give us a call today if you've saved at least $500,000 for retirement. We're going to take the next 10 callers who are in need of that M5 formula strategy. Give us a call today. Have a great day and an even better retirement.
Do you have questions about your retirement? Do you need a second opinion? Do you have a clear-cut income or financial plan? At Retirement Wealth Advisors, Eric Kearney and his dedicated team are committed to your financial success. As an independent fiduciary advisor, law and license require that they put your best interest first. Don't hesitate to plan for your retirement and financial future for one more minute. Visit our website or give Eric and his team a call at 1-800-779-1942.
That's 1-800-779-1942. You'll get the second opinion that you need and the peace of mind that you deserve. You know, you only retire once. Let's get it right the first time.
Here we are again on Retirement Talk with Eric Kearney. We're going to do our question and answer segment again, Eric. You and I both love this part of the show.
For sure. It's a lot of fun.
It is. We get great questions from the viewers, and you should submit your questions to us, and maybe it'll be on the air next time. Well, let's start. We've got Nate from Sarasota. Nate says, when I retire, I'll have a pension, Social Security, 401k, and a Roth IRA as sources of income. My pension and Social Security are going to cover most of my living expenses, but not all. To make up the difference, which account makes the most sense to draw from first, my 401k or the Roth IRA?
Okay, so actually, Wendy, he's got a lot of things going on right now. So Nate, great question. You've got a lot of moving parts. This really comes down to account sequencing. And so it looks like you've got your Social Security and your pension. So that's really going to be your floor of retirement. That's where all of your needs are going to want to come from. What happens over time is once inflation kicks in, there's sometimes, Wendy, ends up being an income gap. And that's really where we have to start utilizing either the traditional IRA or the Roth IRA. But what happens is with account sequencing, what we want to do is use all that tax deferred growth and slowly start to pull from the traditional IRA and then delete or defer the Roth IRA for further down the road when tax issues might be even a bigger issue. So again, you want to make sure that you're watching your income gap, outpacing inflation, and also paying attention to account sequencing, and then that will actually cover all of his needs right there.
I hope that helps, Nate. Next question is Brandon from Cape Coral, right here in Cape Coral.
Right here in Cape Coral.
Brandon wants to know, as long as my recently opened Roth IRA account is funded, can I purchase equities with the funds at any time?
That's a great question, Wendy. So yeah, absolutely. He can buy equities. Anything that you want to purchase inside the Roth IRA, you can do that for. So it's actually a great option. Remember, you want to keep that one a little bit more aggressively invested because that's going to be money that you're not going to want to touch for a very long time.
Okay, good point. All right, we've got Morgan from Naples. She says, is it wise to continue an aggressive investing strategy as a 61-year-old with a considerable amount of assets and money saved?
Oh, so that's a good question. So again, I don't want to give you a Susie Orman 1 minute answer because I don't know enough about the question. But here's the whole thing. It sounds like she has plenty of assets. She's 61 years old. So you're still actually in an accumulation period. People think that once they get into their 60s, they actually have to stop investing. That's not really true. You still have to watch for interest rate risk. You have to outpace inflation, and you want to make sure that you're not going to have any future income gaps. And so again, running that income plan is actually going to hold us accountable as your money manager, and you're going to want to know through every single age in your retirement where your income's going to come from, how much it is, and actually if it's going to meet your wants and needs. There's a lot of people that assume just because they have a large portfolio, they have plenty of money. But if you're not paying attention to what that portfolio has to produce, then you're really questioning, where you are. So the income plan is crucial. We give everyone a process, and it's that M5 formula. We want to run everyone through that process to really hold us accountable. And then it actually feels better because they know where they are all throughout their retirement.
Good answer. Reese from Fort Myers. I'm 55 years old and have been in the same company for about 15 years. I've always had a 401k and I'm taking advantage of the match.
Good.
Yeah, good for Reese. Now the company is offering a Roth 401k. Should I be contributing to it as well, and are there any disadvantages?
Okay, so we want to talk about the advantages and disadvantages. With the regular 401k, remember, anytime that you make contributions, that's actually reducing your taxable income. But you're also deferring those taxes, and eventually you will pay taxes once you start to withdraw income from that traditional 401k. When you start contributing to a Roth IRA, it's after-tax money, and all of a sudden that money becomes tax-free to you down the road. The nice thing about the Roth is it's going to actually offset your future taxes in that 401k. So a lot of times what we're doing is we're sitting down in the income plan, showing them different strategies if they keep contributing to the 401k versus maybe doing a 50-50 mix. So everyone's at a different stage in life, Wendy. So everyone's situation is going to be different. So there's really no cookie cutter to financial planning. And that's actually what keeps it so exciting. So again, if she comes in and gets an income plan done, we can actually show her the best way to make contributions to those and have it benefit her.
That sounds great. We'll be looking forward to your call, Reese. Well, again, a great question and answer session. If you've heard things that you liked on the show and would like to sit down with Eric and his team, give us a call at 1-800-779-1942 and get that conversation started. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Not having a clearly defined financial plan is a mistake that I commonly see with new people in my office. It's very rare that someone actually comes in that already has an existing financial plan that's written for his or her own retirement. If you've never had a written financial plan and you've saved at least $500,000 for retirement, be one of the next 10 callers, and this is what you're going to receive. You'll receive a mutual discovery, a method to attain your goals, a mastermind plan. We'll monitor and manage your situation, and lastly, mentor your legacy. In formula, the first 4 letters are form. We're going to focus on family, occupation, recreation, and money. You'll also receive your very own income plan, and we'll show you proven strategies and techniques to turbocharge your retirement income. In short, we're going to help take all the guesswork out of financial planning. So again, if you've saved at least $500,000 for retirement, be one of the next 10 callers. Strive for excellence. Your wealth deserves it.
What does your retirement look like? Is it filled with travel, spending time with family, uninterrupted rounds at the golf course, or are you too worried to even think about your hopes and dreams? Eric and his team can answer your questions with a complimentary review of your retirement and income plan, and it all starts with getting to know you. They'll do exactly that by going over your current strategy to expose the weaknesses that may exist in your retirement portfolio. Plus, they'll explain potential risks and possible strategies to you in easy-to-understand terms and help get you reacquainted with your portfolio and income strategy. Once they understand your retirement goals, objectives, and dreams, they'll work to custom build a retirement plan to help ensure that you cannot outlive your income in retirement. Because every dream needs a plan. Call Eric today and schedule your visit. You only retire once, so let's get it right the first time.
You know, one of the biggest fears in retirement is making your money last. So today we're going to discuss some strategies to do just that.
Yeah, you know, Wendy, the funny thing is that people are used to accumulating money. But what happens is when they get closer to retirement, now all of a sudden you go from accumulation to decumulation. And that's a whole different thing to consider. So we've got to start taking a look at how are we going to start withdrawing that income for their retirement that could last 25 to 30 years.
Well, Eric, one of the first things you need to do is you need to create a floor. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right. The one thing that we do for all of our clients is we want to build a floor. We want to create an income that has no market exposure, that we know exactly where that money's coming from every single month to cover all of their needs. And so what we're doing is we're creating that floor, and the very first one is going to be Social Security. So we're going to come up with a Social Security strategy. Maybe on top of that they have a pension. Maybe on top of that they have some kind of an annuity. But all of that, we're reducing the market exposure. And even if the market fluctuates on a monthly basis, they're still going to be getting that income. So creating a floor is very critical to their success of their retirement.
What about bucketing your money? Can you explain a little bit about that, what that means?
Sure, Wendy. So this is something that we do on a regular basis. This is not new to anything, but what we're doing is actually bucketing money using different buckets for different scenarios of their retirement. So the first bucket, we want to cover all of their needs. That's going to be a very conservative one. If they want to travel in another couple of years or buy a recreational vehicle or something, that's going to be something more money. We actually put that into a moderate portfolio, and we want to grow that for down the road. it all comes to bucketing and also time horizons. What's your time frame for each piece of money? And what we want to do is we actually want to define what that piece of money is for and what your time horizon is, and figuring out how that's going to work all throughout your retirement.
Well, you were talking about withdrawing and bucketing and all of those things. What about the systemic withdrawal plan that you need to do when you're in this phase?
Yeah, so systemic withdrawals, I can't really say it, but I can understand it. So the biggest thing is that people want to understand, how do I start withdrawing my money? And so there's a lot of people who kind of want to take out a chunk of money. But what you really want to do, Wendy, is making sure that you're creating that portfolio, making sure that you're taking out the income that you need on a regular basis, hopefully over a monthly basis, and then all of a sudden create sustainability to that portfolio. You want to make sure that your nest egg is staying the same all throughout your retirement while you're making those withdrawals. So you want to make very safe, systematic withdrawals, and that's our job. And that's one thing with our concierge service. They're constantly looking at how you're making those withdrawals. Are they safe for you? And then monitoring them on a regular basis. So systematic withdrawals are really critical to longevity of a portfolio.
What about use account sequencing? How do you do that? You've talked in the past about, taking money from different accounts so you don't deplete one account completely. Is that what you mean when you talk about a use account sequencing?
Yeah, account sequencing is critical. And I'll tell you, when it comes to accumulation and decumulation, there's a lot of advisors who don't understand decumulation. And so our specialty is actually pre and post retirees. So our specialty is actually getting into that retirement income that they really want to know that's going to be there. Using account sequencing, we're looking to maximize tax benefits the very best that we can. So we're taking a look at their single accounts, their joint accounts, first withdrawing from those, allowing the tax deferred accounts to grow over time because we're deferring all of those taxes. And lastly, we're using that Roth IRA account for tax-free income way down the road. So again, there's actually a rhyme and a reason of why we're taking out from each different account. And again, we're trying to keep that sustainability and that longevity to create all of that income that's going to last, again, 25 to 30 years.
Eric, that's a lot of great information and a lot to digest. If people want to contact you, how can they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to come in and start a conversation with us and really start to take a look at your income, give us a call at 1-800-779-1942, or just simply go to our website. Let's have a conversation. Thank you so much for watching today. If you've seen anything that you liked, or you have any questions, or you want to get your very own M5 formula, please visit our website or give us a call today. We'd love to start a conversation.
You only retire at once. Let's get it right the first time. Have a great day and an even better retirement.